All right, so good afternoon, everyone who is with us now and watching this on your own time. My name is Hope McMorrin. I'm the Assistant Director of CALS Career Services. And with me today is also Susan Chen, who is one of our graduate interns who helps with our appointments and workshops. So I am here today to speak with y'all about LinkedIn. I was just saying that employers are reporting that LinkedIn is by far becoming one of the quickest growing and most important platforms out there for jobs and internship searching, as well as networking, which is what it's always been. So can I get either a show of hands or in the chat, do you already have a LinkedIn account and we're looking to make it better, or is anyone totally new to LinkedIn? Just what's your level? Yeah, thumbs up can mean I already have one. Yeah, so looks like most people already have one. We're just maybe looking to make it a little bit better. That is exactly great. And then also if there are anyone out there who doesn't have a LinkedIn yet and you're looking to get one started, this will be helpful for you as well. So we're gonna go through a couple different things. We're gonna be switching back and forth. I have a couple slides to get everyone on the same page about what makes a great LinkedIn profile. And then we will also check out our CALS demo profile, who is a very fancy wolf named Tuffy CALS. And he has a great profile picture. We're going to go through his profile, and I encourage you, if you do have a LinkedIn account, to connect with Tuffy so you can watch as his profile gets better. You can reference it at any time you need when you're working on your profile. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with my first couple slides so we can get started. All right, so most of you said you already have a LinkedIn account, but if there is anyone who doesn't, I want to go over just a couple of reasons why LinkedIn is most helpful. The first reason is to get a job or an internship or a volunteer or research position. So many jobs nowadays are found through networking. Does anyone want to guess in the chat what percentage of jobs have been reported to be found through networking? What percentage? One or two guesses. Keely says 75. You're so close. The reported number is 80%. So that means that those positions either aren't publicly posted and they were found online. Fadia got it right on the nose, 80. They're either not posted online and found through networking, or they are posted online, but the person earned their way to that position through networking. So the reason LinkedIn is so great is because you can apply for those positions, find those positions, and network all on one platform. And LinkedIn is, like I said, becoming a leading job poster because of these really nice features like the search functions, save for later, apply with profile, and it lets you explore company pages that are directly linked to the job postings. So one reason to have it is just to be able to access, because you do need a LinkedIn account to access all of the great jobs and resources that are out there. The second reason LinkedIn is by far the most beneficial platform right now out there is to stay connected with people. Some of us think, I'm great with names, I'm great with faces, I'm never going to forget anyone that I interacted with. I will know how to reach them when I network. But as you get older, you realize, I actually don't remember that person I went to high school with who's now working for this company, or that person I worked with in a previous job or internship. So staying connected with people you've worked with in the past, old supervisors, professors and faculty members, even staff at state or any other institutions you go on to study at, or previous institutions for our grad students, as well as current classmates and alumni. We are going to chat about the LinkedIn alumni tool in just a little bit, which is very, very helpful for finding fellow Wolfpackers or previous institution alumni who work at companies that you want to work at. So for creating a profile, we're going to go from the top down of a LinkedIn profile and talk about all the good pieces that are in there. Your profile is that first impression, kind of just like when you would walk into a room for an interview. They're probably going to be using your LinkedIn profile in an initial screening. So making sure that it's inviting and it says something about you is important. So this upper piece here has your background, your photo, your headline, your name, and we'll have something like your location and maybe a little bit like a phrase about your experience. So your professional photo not only includes your headshot, but also this background piece. We often forget about this background piece, but this can be a way to show a little bit of personality, interest, or experience. This can be a picture of you, if maybe for animal science students, if you work in any of the field units, or it might be you at the swine education unit with your piglets, if you help birth, or you in action. Or it can be something like showing your Wolfpack Pride, having a picture of NC State's campus or somewhere meaningful to you. Or it can be something completely unrelated to those things, but that's showing some of your personal interests. Feel free to go check out my LinkedIn account at any point if you want to connect. My LinkedIn headline background is a picture of nature, because that is something that's very important to me. One of my interests is spending time in nature and hiking and stuff like that. So that's kind of a conversation piece when I'm chatting with people and they say, oh, why is nature your background? Starts to open that conversation. The actual professional photo is very important as well. We want to make sure we're looking more like these photos on the left than these ones on the right. I always think these ones are kind of funny. I don't know where we initially got those, but I hope your LinkedIn profile does not look like this, you in the front seat of your car with your sunglasses on. Many LinkedIn profile pictures, they do not have to be professional. We are offering a couple different times throughout the semester, as well as the Career Development Center. They offer LinkedIn profile headshots that you can use for your profile with like a nice plain or NC State background in your professional address, and you'll get that emailed to you for free. My LinkedIn profile picture was taken in my work polo outside of my apartment building by my partner with a cell phone. So it does not always need to be professional as long as it looks professional. I should say it doesn't need to be professionally done as long as it looks professional. So making sure you're looking good, dressing professionally, giving that first impression that you would want to have to an employer who's looking at you for screening purposes. Now, headlines. On LinkedIn, your headline is this, that thing that comes up under your name. So Winston Wolf, who is the Career Development Center's example profile, is Think and Do student at NC State University. What we want your headline to do is increase your findability. And what that means is when an employer is searching for candidates to invite to apply to a job, or if they're looking for to do some headhunting, we want to make sure that your profile is coming up for them before somebody else. You want to be as close to the top of that results list as possible. And when we say findability, that means how high up are you on that list? So by adding things like, if you look down here, if we're adding things like NC State, your major or your degree, and then a couple things that describe you and what you're interested in or skilled at, that is going to increase your findability, because the only reason I'm ever going to find, so John student over here, the only reason they're going to come up for me is if I search their name or if I search for grad student at NC State. But if I'm searching for mechanical engineering grads, if I'm looking for someone in new product design, or NC State, now Jane is going to come up. So there's basically 5 times the things that might return Jane's profile to me than John's. So keeping that kind of short, sweet, succinct, but specific to you and your interests and skills can really make you show up more in a search. It also should motivate the audience to keep reading the rest of your profile. We want that to be a fun invitation. I'm more interested in reading about Jane's profile than John's, because I don't know what mechatronics is. Maybe I'm interested in someone with new product design experience. I'm so much more likely to go ahead and go to Jane's profile than read another student at NC State universities. And these buzzwords, even if anyone has done your Clifton strengths through NC State, which you can do for free, and I highly recommend, you can include a couple of those in your headline. Things like achiever, arranger, communication, adaptability, relator. All these terms that describe us can be really great buzzwords to include in that profile. Your summary section on your profile, I'm actually going to switch over and show you Tuffy's right now, because they have a very Cal-specific one. And we'll take a look at Tuffy's background and stuff there. So on Tuffy's profile, we can see maybe this is an event they went to, maybe this is them presenting, or maybe they just want to show that they are an ag student. I believe Tuffy is an ag sciences major. This nice professional photo, looking sharp in the professional dress. And then Tuffy's headline here, we can take a look. This is exactly what we just talked about. So maybe Tuffy's interested in these areas: ag leadership, and then something a little bit about them, creative problem solver. And then sustainability advocate is something great to include as well, because that not only shows your experience and who you are, but also those goals and what you might bring to a group or organization. This piece down here, we're signed in as Tuffy right now, so we can make any changes. That's what all these extra pieces are that you'll see on your profile. But this summary section is really important, and it's a really unique opportunity that you won't have on something like a resume, because you have a lot more space. Resume, professional summary, or objective statements, if you have something like that, often you only have room for maybe 1 or 2 things to add there. But your summary section, your about section here, you can have 1 or 2 paragraphs that talk a little bit more about you. I'm gonna switch back. Wish there was an easier way to switch back. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, actually, I can. Okay. We want this to be our virtual introduction to who we are. You can use a little bit more of a genuine kind of conversational narrative voice than we might use on something like a cover letter. That's a little more, thank you for considering me. Here's my experience. I'm excited to be applying. This can be a little more genuine. Here's who I am. Here's my background. Here's how I got interested. Here's what I'm looking for. Up to 2,000 characters, it's kind of a loose guideline. We don't want it to be a personal statement, like for a grad school application. We don't want it to be an essay, but being able to include a little bit about who you are, that can include experiences and skills. I am excited to bring 2 years of experience working in ag leadership through X, Y, and Z, giving that little bit of example of overview. That's gonna, again, invite them to keep scrolling down and read that experience section below. You can include something like your Myers-Briggs, your MBTI, if anyone's ever taken these kind of personality tests. A lot of companies use those as ways to have like a common language to learn about a candidate. So you can include your Myers-Briggs, you can include your Gallup-Clifton Strengths, which again, you can take for free through NC State to talk a little bit about your approach to work and your background as well. How did you get interested in animal science? Where are you hoping to go with BAE? And then a call to action, that can be something like, check out my personal profile if you have another website or publications, check out the link of me presenting at this conference, or just saying that you're willing to connect with somebody, inviting them to have make that connection with you on your profile. So we take a look at Tuffy's again, and Tuffy's reads, growing up in rural North Carolina, agriculture was at the heart of my small town. I have seen firsthand the effects that efficient and effective leadership can have on small and large farming operations alike. Throughout my internship last summer with Farm Credit, I've honed my skills in communicating my expertise to farmers and stakeholders. Upon completion of my degree in ag science from NC State in May 2024, I hope to use my knowledge and outstanding interpersonal skills in a challenging position in the ag industry in my home state. I'm open to any learning opportunities and would welcome connections with experienced ag and leadership professionals. Let's connect. So we get an idea of who Tuffy is. Where do they come from? What are they interested and experienced in? And where are they hoping to go? So it kind of runs the gamut of showing who you are and your professional experience, goals, and motivations. The next piece that we want to take a look at on, I'm just going to keep this out of presentation view so we can switch back and forth to the profile easily, is that experience section. This is the meat and potatoes of the LinkedIn profile, usually what a lot of folks are going to be looking at, especially from an employer perspective. It's going to be similar to what's on your resume. It might be the same as what's on your resume, but it might be a little more detailed. We do still want to have those accomplishment statement bullet point type phrases, starting with a strong action verb, talking about what you did and how you did it, including things like quantitative information. How many of something did you do? How much money did you raise? How many people did you work with? Being really specific, but they can be a little bit longer than what's on your resume, because your resume or your LinkedIn profile is not going to need to be printed or fit onto one page of a PDF for an online application. So making sure to include everything that you would on the resume, the job title, the company, your experience and what you did, and those bullet points, really fleshing out your accomplishments rather than maybe referring to the accomplishments of others. One cool thing about LinkedIn is that you can have what we would call rich media. That is going to be posters that you've presented, videos of you doing something. Maybe you were featured in an article in your local paper or something through state, or a club or a project that you were involved in, got some recognition. you can link those things like you see here right into that profile. So it just adds that richness to your profile and adds that depth. So if we take a look at what Tuffy has, Tuffy's an, I want to say a sophomore at this point. So they've had an internship, but they also have this part-time work. So we know exactly when and where, how long they were working, and some good, strong bullet points about what they did, really focusing on those transferable skills. So when it comes to experience, this right here is that kind of hands-on work experience. You can add other sections like volunteer experience. If volunteer and service learning is something you've taken part in, you can add a whole separate experience to that. That would also be okay to include if you did like a volunteer internship or some other type of work that was unpaid, but it was still a great learning experience and work experience. I think you can feel comfortable to put that in the experience section. Moving on, and like I said, feel free to please include any questions you have in the chat. Unlike on your resume, your education section on LinkedIn actually goes a little bit further down. On the resume, education should be the first thing that's showing up there, but this shows up on LinkedIn a little bit further down. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're not typing in NC State, we're actually choosing North Carolina State University, so you got the nice graphic that's approved by LinkedIn. We want to include the degree title. Is that a BA? Is that a BS? Is that an MS? Is that an MR? Whatever you're working towards, major, degree, and include any minors. This will automatically prompt you to say how long have you been there, or when are you going to graduate? And that is great to fill out so an employer knows exactly when they can expect you to be available. And then you can feel free to include some things that you're involved with down here. So activities and societies, honor societies, organizations, if you play on a sports team or anything like that that you want to include, just to show what you're involved in at your institution. These also could be something that you put in an education section or an activity section to really be able to flesh out. Maybe you have a like treasurer, vice president, president position in a club that you're in, and you want to write some good bullet points for that, you can definitely feel free to do that as well. But if maybe you don't, or you don't have room for that on your resume, so you haven't written those are appropriate to throw in that education section as well. If you're a transfer student, if you have come from another institution, that can go on your LinkedIn if you would like underneath to show where you came from, but it's also not required. If you just did a couple classes somewhere before you got to state, or if you went to another organization, another school, didn't have a great experience, and you just want to have NC State on there, all that really matters is where you're getting that degree and when you're going to get it. So you can feel comfortable just putting NC State on there. Study abroad would be something great to highlight under the education section. If any of you have done that or are hoping to do that, which I hope you get the chance to once COVID either goes away forever or gets a little less intense. But that's the education section, and you can include scholarships, honors awards that you've gotten through your education, all in that section as well. This is totally customizable to whatever you want to put under there. The other areas that you can include on your LinkedIn, we have a separate honors and awards section if those are something you want to highlight, and you can do this, say, associated with, and it'll know what from your education section you're referencing there. Tuffy has added 3 skills, or actually 5 skills, maybe that they got from their summer internship. This is a great way to show an employer what skills you bring to the table, maybe that don't fit on your resume, or that you're not able to show through here. Maybe something like public speaking, maybe you're really good at and you've gained that experience, but maybe you haven't had the chance to show that in a position, but you still want to highlight it on your profile. Skills is a great place to do that. Interest is another one. If you want to show a company you're interested, maybe you really want to work for BASF, you can follow BASF, find their news and jobs on your homepage, and then also it'll show up on your profile as being something you're interested in. To add any of these sections, you can click right here, add profile section. You can also click this to edit your entire profile, and you can choose from a drop-down menu what to add. By adding profile sections, it'll give you all the various options that you have. Recommended is going to be what LinkedIn recommends to show kind of the most of what you have. The only thing I have for that is be careful for add courses. Don't add your entire transcript to your LinkedIn profile. If you want to highlight a couple important classes, just like you might on a related coursework section in the resume, feel free, but don't go overboard with that. And then recommendations are something that is actually really cool on LinkedIn. You can request from someone you're connected with on LinkedIn, whether that's a former supervisor, faculty member, to write you a quick 1-paragraph recommendation. It really helps give that credibility to your profile and have someone learn a little bit more about you from someone who has worked with you and maybe not just from hearing it from yourself. But here are some of those other areas that you can include. Volunteer experience publications, if any of our undergrad or grad students are doing research. If you speak additional languages, you can add those other organizations or memberships you're affiliated with. Maybe you're a member or you've gone to an AFA conference or institute, you can add any of those. If you are new to creating a LinkedIn profile, it will prompt you to choose an industry. And unfortunately, agriculture is not an industry that is an option on LinkedIn. So do what is best for your specific major. There are things like food and dairy, there's tobacco and farming are some industries. So you might have to do a little bit of searching, but unfortunately, agriculture is not an option. I emailed LinkedIn about that, trying to get it added. But for now, just choose what is best for you. Before we switch over to talk a little bit about some of the tools that LinkedIn has, I want to pause for any questions about maximizing your profile. And you can feel free to unmute yourself or put those in the chat. Give it 30 seconds for my introverts. No, okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and switch over. If you do think of any questions, I'm monitoring the chat. We're going to go over something called the LinkedIn Alumni Tool. And I think this is LinkedIn's secret hidden treasure that not a lot of people know about, because it helps you connect with people from your institution that work at anywhere that you want to find. So I'm going to go ahead and in my search bar, I'm going to search for an NC State, and I'm looking for the one that says company or school. Every institution of higher education, every business that uses LinkedIn has a profile page on LinkedIn, just like you do. I see we have something in the chat. Keely's coming back. No worries, Keely. So we're on NC State's page rather than, our own profile. And one of the cool things about this is we can go to this alumni tab. And this lets us search for the 209, almost 210,000 people on LinkedIn who have NC State somewhere in their education section. It might be an undergrad degree, might be a grad degree, but this helps us make connections with people who we already have something in common with. So if you got a random message from somebody who wanted to work at your company, you're a lot more likely to help those people that went to your alma mater, that shared that experience that you had at State. So what we can do here is a couple different things. We can search by the companies where alumni are working. This can be great if you don't know where to start in a job or internship search. Scroll through this and see who has hired NC State students in the past. If you are from somewhere or moving to somewhere that is maybe not local, maybe not the Triangle area, maybe you're moving to San Francisco and you want to find other alum who are in that area, there's almost 5,000 of them on here. So we can scroll through any of these. Maybe you are working in engineering, you want to find out where those folks are working or what they're doing, or find people that are also in your major. Some of our smaller majors and CALs might not automatically pop up on here, but you can search anything in this box. So you can click on these. Maybe I want to find alumni who work in DC. I click on DC and I scroll down here. And now I'm going to be able to see all these alumni. You will get some current students as well who are in that area, and you set that area on your profile. So we can see here all these people when they graduated and what they're studying or what they studied, just to get some names, some ideas of where they're working, which is really helpful. Instead of doing a location, maybe let's search by a major. So I'm going to do animal science because I saw we had a couple animal science students here today. 13,000, almost 14,000 animal science alum. Like I said, we will get some current students, but we can go back and scroll and see where animal science alum are working. If we want to make sure we don't get current students, you can enter something here like, I want to see people who've been out of college for at least 4 years, see what they're up to now. So we can visit these people's profiles, see where they're working. If we want a list of potential companies to look at, or if you're curious about like, do I need to go to grad school? Go and see what alumni who had your undergrad major are doing now. So this is a really helpful exploration tool that I won't spend too much time going through, but that's a couple ways that you can use it. If we want to see everyone who works at a certain company, let's pick on SAS because they hire Cal students sometimes. Now we're getting a list of alumni who work at SAS. If you're applying for a job there and you want to make a connection, if you want to do an informational interview with someone who works there to maybe get your name out there, we just got an entire list of 60 alum who are working there. We can message these people directly on LinkedIn if that's something that they accept on their profile. But if not, at least we have some names. And now we can go on the employer's website and see if we can find a contact for these people. So I highly recommend you explore the LinkedIn alumni tool and start to build those connections that you can ask people about. What do they like what they're doing? What are they doing? Maybe you're an animal science student who realized they don't want to go to vet school anymore and you're not sure what to do. Explore some profiles of people like that in the geographic area you're interested in. So the LinkedIn alumni tool is one of the greatest things that's on there to maximize your networking on LinkedIn. If we switch back over here, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time today because today is mostly focused on maximizing your profile and connections, but I will just quickly show a little bit about jobs. You can create job alerts in LinkedIn, and you can do this on ePAC, where you're going to search, I want intern level positions in BAE, biological ag engineering, in Charlotte. And anytime something that matches that gets posted, you will be notified of that on LinkedIn, and maybe you'll get an email as well if you set that up. So that prevents you from having to go through and search the same thing every single day. And you can create multiple ones of those as well. Maybe you're looking in a couple different areas. But there will be recommended jobs for you based on your past experience. And you can also search for jobs up here by whatever metrics you're looking to do. Make sure you're not using too many filters. We don't want things to get lost. And you can save jobs under, there's a little star, and then it'll go under my job. So maybe you come across an internship or a job right now, but you know you need to work on that resume. You need to know, you might want to come meet with Cal's Career Services to have that reviewed before you apply, but you don't want to lose that posting. You don't want to bookmark them all up here to get lost. You can add them to that Save Jobs folder. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, see if anyone has any questions about LinkedIn profiles, maximizing the tools, anything like that. You can unmute yourself, throw it in the chat, whatever works for you. Okay. The last thing I wanted to highlight this afternoon was LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is typically something that you have to pay for as a LinkedIn member, but NC State pays for you to have access to that for free. If you go to linkedin.com/learning, it'll give you the option to sign in through an institution, and you'll sign in with your NC State single sign-on, your Unity ID. And you can complete courses and professional development there that get added to your profile. So if you maybe want to get better at using Microsoft Excel, there's LinkedIn Learning about Excel. Maybe it's something more personal. Maybe as a grad student, you are going to be in a supervisory role for the first time. There are hundreds of courses to choose from about managing people. There is things like programming and software, if that's something you want to get familiar with. Really, the list goes on. I can't even begin to tell you how many courses are out there. They're free for you. You do them on your own time, and you get certificates, and you earn those transferable skills. Those are something that you could add. They automatically get added to your profile, so you can show employers that you do professional development. And then you can also add those to your resume. Maybe you got a certificate on LinkedIn by doing a longer program. Add that to your resume. Show those skills and professional development and put those into action in your new jobs. So that is all I have for y'all this afternoon. I will stick around if there's any individual questions, but thank y'all so much for coming. Hope you got some good information. And please remember that CAUS Career Services offers one-on-one career coaching appointment at no cost to you with our professional coaching staff and students. So definitely come in, have those resumes reviewed. The CAUS Hot Jobs Fair, our spring career fair, is on March 30th. Keep an eye on that CAUS newsletter for that information and other things that are coming up. So thank y'all for coming, and let us know if you have any questions.